You seem bothered by something.
How did we get here?
A CDMP TV and film presentation from Crazy D, the mind who brings you the Black Ice Chronicles, the Females DVD, and Situations DVD, brings you The Shifter. It's Halloween night at Crazy D's, and a pesky vamp is out for blood. Beware of the Shifter.
That's it. You gotta go beat it damn scram, man. Damn.
Why don't you be a doll and find me a place to change? I need a place to change my clothes before I go.
What? Don't try to hold me on the phone.
D, you been holding out on me?
I was just about to stop and help. You know I helped the crackheads, D.
Some people just don't have originality with their outfits.
It's like I hear voices in my head talking to me and shit.
I saw that punk ass Charles Pippin and his cousin leaving here.
I learned the grace pose.
Get your camera ready.
We're here, like we said, for trick or treat. Crazy, what did you see? You seem bothered by something.
You see that shit?
Hey, that crazy fuck in there.
Oh, what? Right. She can't stand that shit.
Well, who's the pet bitch?
Like, I
what
don't
the fuck was she need all hoes? I told her to scratch that, poke that bitch out.
Beware of the Shifter. Be at the premiere if you dare.
Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though. Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch!
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know, D, you must have seen money in that. You know, he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. You serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men, or should I say, male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off for her.
Really good, though. I'm doing that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe. Community, heart,
Guys, welcome to another great episode of the Film Review Observations. That's hashtag TFRPodcastLive presents Observations by Crazy D with my guest host, my special host, my sister Tanya Congress. How you doing this morning? How are you doing this morning? Let's see if we sound off. I heard you. Let's see if we hear you. Let's go.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, you can hear me. Good morning, everybody. I'm trusting everybody is doing well this morning. And we're here strapped in, ready to go to navigate this plane of knowledge to you today. I had a good night. I went to bed about 11, which is not too late. I thought I would be in there earlier since the night before I didn't go to bed till 4 a.m, but so it goes. But yesterday, you guys, if you, those of you who have been watching us, I did a little video yesterday evening on just showing you some of the things, the supplements that I take and added to my diet that keeps everything together. And if you've never been diagnosed with any health issues, it's good to take this stuff just to keep your immune system just boosted. Mine has been high for 2 years. So just want to encourage you guys with that. Check it out. It's on my page.
All right, so let's get this started. First of all, we are simulcasting, broadcasting live on Periscope, on Vimeo, on FB, on the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society page. Make sure you like that. Make sure you go over to, and of course, go over to the Film Review Live channel. That's right, the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Right? Go right over there, the Film Review Live channel. Put hashtag TFRPodcastLive OB in the search, episode 21, and it'll come right up. And make sure that you smash the subscribe button and smash the like button on the video. Like, and then share. Let your people know on all the different platforms that we are on. Make sure that you tell them that we are on so that they can watch, because we have another jam-packed show of information and entertainment today on the Film Review Observations by Crazy D with my guest host, Tanya M. Congress, right? What's up to Jasmine Clark? I see that she's watching on FB. So let's get this started without any further ado. We're gonna head right into it. We're gonna start with some memes. This morning, right? The chat is open on the Film Review Live channel. The chat is open. Chat is open on FB, and of course 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358 for the chime-in line. You want to come on to speak on a topic, on what we're talking about, make sure you use your touch tone and press 1 after you dial in. After you get the instructions, press 1, and then we'll see the symbol, so we'll know that you want to chime in and talk. Also, let's get ready. Let's just get it going. Let's get it going early. Okay, people. So we've been talking about definitions. We've been talking about definitions and knowing definitions of words, right? So we're going to do some streets right now. Out there on the street is a lot of what you would call anarchy going on. So we're going to take a look at some definitions of government, right? We're going to look at some definitions of government. We're going to run through these because what is the topic of the show today? What is the topic of the show? Atheists, pedophiles, and freak flags. That's right. But before we get to that, we have to let you know about the different types of government, because if this continues the way it looks like it's continuing, you might be saying goodbye to the republic that's a democracy with a federal government if certain people have their way. So let's go through this now. Let's go through the different governments, and Tanya, you're going to read the definitions off as we put them across to the people, okay? So the first one up is anarchy. This is a form of government. Now, this is what people out there, they say there are anarchists and there are accelerationists. On the hard right side, there are accelerationists who want to see the state fall. And then the anarchists also want to see the state fall. And this is what an anarchist wants with the anarchy government. Read it through.
Anarchy has its roots from the Greek word meaning no rule. Anarchy is a state of absence of law. The theory of anarchism proposes to do away with any kind of existing governments and build a society wherein each person has the freedom to exercise his will without any controlling authority.
So somebody could just come up to you and say, let me have that, brother, and let me have that. And you're going to have to hand it over unless you're ready to exercise your free will. Okay, democracy, number 2.
Democracy, originating in ancient Greece, democracy means rule of the people. The term today refers to a political system in which the people or their elected representatives govern themselves rather than being governed. So everyone has an equal say in the decisions affecting their lives.
Okay, right here it's spelled monarchy, but it's actually an H is missing, but it's monarchy. So what is a monarchy? Number 3.
It is the type of government having a hereditary chief of state or a king or queen, usually known as a monarch. While life, tenure, and powers vary from nominal, where the powers of the monarch are regulated by a constitution, to absolute, where the monarch enjoys unlimited powers. Most modern states with monarchic rule are constitutional monarchies with laws framed to protect the rights of citizens. The era of absolute monarchs almost seems to have vanished now, and it is something that we hardly see.
That would be England with their parliament, right? The English, the king, the queen, and the dukes and the princes and all that are more for economic reasons now, to have people do the tourism of the castle. You might see the queen walk across. Number 4, tyranny. What is the tyranny government?
Tyranny. The roots of this kind of rule from the Latin tyrannia, meaning the rule of a tyrant, which is a cruel master. It is the government or authority of an absolute ruler, hence arbitrary exercise of power over subjects and others not requisite for the purposes of government or approved by law and justice. Such a rule has a negative connotation as it is often characterized by the threat of punishment and violence.
Now, a lot of people say they throw these terms out, and as they're saying them, as they say them, people just pick them up and they don't really know, like tyranny, like a tyrannical government. They say, we are fighting against this tyrannical government, and that really is not the definition of what you're actually seeing happening out there. Okay, number 5, republic.
Republic is a government whose authority is based on citizen voters, which are represented by elected or nominated officials chosen for free elections, as opposed to a monarchy or a dictatorship where the supreme power lies with the ruler.
So is it that you want to, if these anarchists out here, they want to go to anarchy where anything goes, but you don't want to vote anymore? I'm just trying to figure out the people who are following the lead of the anarchists, just trying to get in and fit in somewhere, following the lead of the anarchists, is it that you don't want to have free elections anymore? Okay. Totalitarianism.
All right. Easy to decipher from the total. A totalitarian system is the one in which a single political authority regulates total control over the state that is centralized and dictatorial. It advocates complete surveillance or subservience. It advocates complete subservience to the political authority which controls.
Okay, that would be like Mussolini during his time. Now, we went over fascist and everything, so different terms can plug in. It's just like how the United States is a republic that's a democracy with a federal government. Different modules can plug into one another to make these things. So Mussolini was a totalitarian, but he was also a fascist. So you have to know these definitions and know what they mean. And is that what you want? I mean, is that what you want? I mean, this upheaval that's going on in the streets. I'm just asking questions here. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. The chat line, the chats are open on all formats. Let's discuss. Oligarchy. What is a oligarchy?
The word is from the Greek term for rule of the few. It is a form of power structure in which power effectively rests with a faction of persons or families. The people that form the ruling group are usually a group of distinguished people in terms of wealth or power who pass their influence from one generation to the next. Some would say we're that behind the scenes, some would say.
Why would we say that? Because the Kennedys tried to have one, and then seems like there might be finally a dynasty. Looks like the Trump dynasty might be something that's coming into full fruition here, right? Maybe, just maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, right. So next up is federation.
It can be defined as political organization characterized by the union of small states, groups, or parties which are self-governed in internal affairs and are united under a central government. The division of power among the states and the central governing body is typically constitutionally entrenched. A federal government having the constitutional structure that can be considered the opposite of a unitary state system.
For those who don't know, before there was the United States of America, that's a republic that's within a democracy that is a federal government, there was the federation of this land. And you had to look that up. It was 7 presidents within that federation before what you see, the government that you see here today, right? And if you don't know that, you need to know. Okay, here we go. Here's where the rubber starts to hit the road on the last two. Theocracy. What is a theocracy?
A government of a state by priests ruling in the name of God or gods, or by officials who are regarded as divinely guided or consistent with the doctrines and principles of a particular religion or religious community. There is little room for dissent, as the divine order is considered unquestionable and absolute.
Would we want to live under a theocracy? Would we want to live under a theocracy? Would we want to live under a theocracy? Who knows? Let's see. Let's keep going. Communism.
All right.
What is communism?
Communism, derived from the French Commune, it is revolutionary socialist movement aimed at creating a classless society that abolishes private ownership. The property is held by the community rather than the individuals, and all activity is controlled by the government. As a system of government, communism is often closer to a form of socialism in which the state owns and operates industry on behalf of the people.
Wow. So you own nothing. You have nothing that is yours within that form of government. How would you like that? How would you like that, people? How would you like it? Would you like it? Would you like it? How would you like that? Tanya, would you like any of those? Any of those forms of government?
I mean, some of them, if I could tailor make some things, I might take a little bit from a couple of them if I could tailor it. But definitely not anarchy, because anarchy is to me trying to snatch away stuff from me, like these people are doing, coming up to people eating in restaurants and starting to go in on them like that. Oh yeah, that would be on the news. That would make news. My response would make news. You're not gonna do that to me. So not that democracy is what we're in, but we are a republic. But we are in a democracy. We're able to vote. But see, here's my thing with these definitions. With some of them, I see traces of all of them in our government. It would seem that as laws are passed and things are amended, it's almost it shapes it into one or more than one of these things as the laws change, as it affects the people, the different people that it affects. It you can see some of everything in our government. It's not strictly, I mean, it's set up one way, but it's not strictly going by those ways.
Right. And so this is where we are, people, because the United States of America is a republic that is a democracy with a federal government, right? So it's an experiment of using 3 out of the 10 that plug into each other, who have certain likenesses that plug into each other. But we wouldn't necessarily want anarchy as a government, because anything goes. Anything goes. Which gets us to us opening up now just a little bit more before we put the rubber to the road, okay? So here we go. Here's this one right here. This is an interesting meme right here. This is one I saw. If there is another civil war, it'll be Antifa, snowflakes, and BLM against ex-military, country boys, hunters, and bikers. This person is laughing and they say, that'll be an hour we'll never get back. Now that last part, I really don't understand what he means by that'll be an hour we'll never get back. Does he mean that because they're ex-military, country boys, hunters, and bikers, that they're going to smash into Antifa, snowflakes? I don't know what exactly snowflakes are, and BLM, that they're going to smash into them and it's going to be an hour. Is that what they think? That it's just going to be an hour? Which gets us to a term that we like to call around here, tomfoolery moment. Okay? We're going to bring this up real quick. People are out there protesting. They're out there protesting, and thanks to my sister, she sent this through. Now, people are out there protesting, right? They're out there protesting, and one of the co-founders has already moved on to something called Black Futures Lab. She's already moved on, and there's people out there talking about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, but she's moved on. Now, the first one was supposed to be owned by George Soros, as the myth goes, but we just showed you yesterday, we just read an article yesterday from the New York Post, where the head of this organization, you see her to the left of the screen, she has started a new organization called Black Futures Lab, which is a Marxist organization because it studies the effects of capitalism and comes to the ultimate decision and conclusion by their standard that the only way that America could be good is if it's a communist government and it is owned by a subsidiary company that is owned by China. Is also a republic, but they are a communist republic. You see how that goes? You see how these things co-mix, these different things mix together? And if you've been listening to our shows, you know why the United States doesn't necessarily like China, because at the time, back in the 1920s, the United States was betting on the nationalists of China to win the war, and the communists won the war. So that's what it is. And so when you see these things and you hear these things, that's what's really happening, right? Okay, so let's bring this up right here. Now, speaking of Black Lives Matter, we were just talking about this yesterday, and thanks to my producer, Tracy Latrice, Black Lives Matter removes What We Believe on their What We Believe website page, calling to disrupt nuclear family structure. My producer found this. We had talked about it yesterday, and she said, well, look what they just did. I don't know if they did it because they've been listening to us, and you raised that, Tanya, about them wanting to disrupt the nuclear family, right? You know what the nuclear family is: a mother and a father, right? Not just a mother and a mother, or a father and a father, but a mother and a father with children, right? So that is what we're trying to disrupt, but for some reason they took this down. And can we figure out the reason why? Some reason they took this down. Why would they take this down? Why would the woman move over to a new organization while everybody is out there pretty much doing fisticuffs and everything else in the middle of the street? What kind of disingenuous crap is that? And if you don't know that this is going on, you are headed into a situation blind. What you got to say to that?
You know, and now this is interesting. So they're on their website, they basically it was a feminist steered organization. One of the founders, at least, was feminist and lesbian. And don't get y'all's draws in a bunch, because I identified a gender identity or a sexual preference identity. All right, it is what it is. So then this person that we just showed on the Black Lab thing, whatever, she is married to another activist who happens to be he is Hispanic. That's where that last name Garza comes from. But in this, the goal, one of the goals was to disrupt the nuclear family structure. Now am I to understand that they took that down out of their description of what they're about?
Yeah, they took that down. They took it out their pages. They just took it down. They are no longer about that. 213-943-3358. What else aren't they about? They obviously aren't about actually being out there physically themselves, because when I see BLM now, I see Caucasians. I don't anyway.
See, this is very disturbing to me, and if you guys are paying attention to this whole thing and drawing reasonable conclusions, it should be disturbing to you too. Because, okay, so you had a movement, and I'm these movements, they're starting to get on my nerves. So you had a movement, and it was started by feminists. So people are not, what's disturbing me is people are starting special interest movements they're not starting movements that are actually for the people that they're trying to target and say they're representing. They're starting movements that are special interest movements. So in the movement initially, it was by feminists and all of that, and they were out to disrupt the nuclear family structure. Now, why would you want to do that if it wasn't for selfish reasons? If you disrupt the nuclear family structure, then what you do is you break it apart and you leave people wide open sitting ducks for whatever else is on your agenda or whatever else that you're pushing along. And that's disturbing. And then to take it one step further, you have co-opted it. You have switched it over, just slid it through in a backdoor, backyard agreement. You then slid it over to somebody else to use as a front for anarchist rhetoric. And then you have one of your leaders that completely leaves and is no longer associated with that, and that she didn't start her own thing. Listen, a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. And you have to look at these people who are leading movements and leading things and understand that something is wrong with these people. And some of it is out of selfishness and their own certain selfish interests, and others of it is because people are mentally ill. Something is disturbing. I don't care how much, how many degrees, how many accolades, awards for community service and community outreach and all of this stuff. When you start having people doing what I see had happened with BLM from the very beginning, first BLM to the second BLM, that was a whole nother type of movement that came in under the umbrella, and everybody is deceitful. It's deceptive because you're coming in under something and you're not clearly identifying who you are. That is deception. And now I'm looking at it as I'm speaking about it. The more I'm speaking about it, I see witchcraft everywhere. And then that second BLM movement, yes, it was witchcraft there for real. If you go look up everything that they stood for and their practices, there are some interviews on YouTube directly with the founders of that second one who told you what their religious practices were. They told you how they communicated with the dead. They told you those things. That's all rooted in witchcraft. And so when you look at the faces, and I told my brother yesterday, I looked at the face of that one person that was an original. I said, I can spot a witch 5 miles away. And I'm like, she got a certain look in her eye. I see it. And so you got witchcraft running everything. And I'm going to stop here because it really goes much deeper and wider than what we can cover today. But that's just the start.
Yeah, so we got a phone call. 314. 314 is on the line. Yup. Who's on the line? Hey, what's going on? Mr. P.
Second grade class told me, a second grade class told me you spelled the word wrong. Look, they spelled it SLAGS, and they grown people.
Okay, wait, go again?
It should be FAGS, right?
What are you talking about? What FA? What are you looking at?
On your heading there.
Free flag.
On the title, you show you got atheist, pedophile, and free
flag.
FLAGS.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, we called it.
Well, you know, they changed the endings of they stopped using the E when we came to school. I mean, I understand what you're saying with the flags, but they stopped using the E. You know, like how.
Well, we talking about men that like men.
Oh, I got you. Oh no, I wasn't meaning it. I wasn't meaning it anything like that. But I see what you're saying. But I was saying freak flags.
All right.
But yeah. But anyway, go ahead. I got you. Anyway.
You know what I mean.
Right.
But no, you're absolutely right. This organization, of course, it's a brand name, BLM. When you see it displayed at events like sporting events, and like any other advertising, whether it's Levi Jeans or whether it's Budweiser beer, they paying for that advertising space. And they probably using the donations that they're getting from corporations and turn around and give it right back to them. But there again, too, what you said was correct, where people are using this highly emotional group of words, this meaning, Black Lives Matter. But when you look at who's promoting it, they are not who they are when you read the words Black Lives. Those are not those. The majority of those are whites that's out there dressed in Black Lives Matter T-shirts, and they're using it for an agenda. You made mention of the tearing down of the nuclear family. Well, that's always been an option. It kind of reminds me of the oxymoron that I'm reading today, where you have some people posting, register to vote. We can't change it, but we can change it if we vote. Then the next post they say, well, women are allowed to have as many abortions as they want. You follow what I'm saying? So
Right.
If the whole idea is to get a lot of numbers, where you would become a larger political power, well, then how the heck you going to substantiate that when you tell people to go out and get as many abortions as they want? And that's eliminating people who would register and vote over a given time.
Oh, you're thinking too deep for him. Yeah. You're thinking too deep for him today, Mr. P. You're thinking too deep for him today, right? So, what is the
age, man? You know, that's the downfall when you get older.
So, what's the solution to having for the people going out there and just aimlessly following people without doing the research on what they're following?
Well, let me tell you this, and I don't see no whole lot. You have children or grandchildren?
No children. Didn't want any.
All right. Well, you uncle. You're probably an uncle.
Yes.
To one of your. Okay. This is what I'm gonna tell you to do. Educate your siblings. That's the least thing you can do, and that's a valuable thing that you can do. Because once they become educated, two things is going to happen. They're not going to fall for the okie doke, because they're able to see right through it. They're able to think deep. Secondly, educate them in high demand wage salary positions. And don't fall for that stuff saying, well, people, it's best for you to own your own business. Well, you got to learn about the industry that you want to own a business in before you can own the business and run it successfully. And how better to do that is to work for somebody who's already successful in the industry where you can learn.
That's right.
One of the problems I see in the black community and the black population, it's not all, but it's a lot of them, is that they are relegated to a poverty position or near poverty position. And when they were young in school, it wasn't their fault because they don't know better. They want to learn. Society, parents, and family did not institute them in the direction they need to go, whereas they would not be a pawn of a certain political party. Now, it's nothing wrong with coming up with programs that help people stand on their feet. In a time of emergency, humanitarian programs that would help forego some cost of education and things like that. But some of these programs would keep you locked into that particular paradigm forever and ever. Sunday school. People go to Sunday school for 40 years. You don't go to school no 40 years. What you're supposed to have learned, you should have learned your first 2 or 3 or 4 years.
You know what? You better say it. You better say it.
So educate your kids. Educate your siblings. Make sure they have everything they need, the exposure, so that they can concentrate. Instead of your kids shooting 200 free throws at the gym, let them go home and do 200 math problems every night to help develop their skills in that particular language, because it can take them a lot further without it than they would go if they didn't have it.
My co-host, wait, before you go, my co-host has a comment about what you said, so I'm gonna let her say something right now.
I was sitting over here about to jump out my chair at the list of things he was saying. Why not teach them this? But before he got into that, he said that talked about going to Sunday school for 40 years. What you needed to know in the first 2 or 3 years that you were in it. And he is absolutely correct. I've often said that. I said that so many times that Christ walked the earth for 3 years. He gave the disciples intense training in healing, casting out devils, and praying, and all the things that he needed to teach them. Then he was out, and they were on their own to continue in what he taught them. And that is the pattern. That was the precedent that was set, and that is what it should have continued. It never should have gotten to where it is now. That's all I wanted to say. I was just excited by that comment.
Well, thank you.
Well, see there, now you heard somebody else say what you've been thinking all along.
Thank you, Mr. P. We'll talk to you.
Bye.
All right, people. So let's continue. All right. So the next meme that we have is one. Well, let's just bring it up. It's a meme from a concerned citizen whose daughter sent this. This is in a textbook, right? And it's chapter 9, deviance. And what do they have pictured there but the police searching a young American black man, or it could be someplace else, but it's a black male in a patterned shirt and cargo shorts being patted down in the pockets, and it's called deviance. And she said she was gonna be added immediately because she's an educator, and if you keep putting those images into people's eye gate, then their mind will automatically think, when they see deviant, and when they see the word deviance, it automatically brainwashes them into thinking black person, black male in particular. What you got to say to that? Hey, okay, can you hear me now? Go check. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, so listen. Look up the word deviance and look up the word defiance. Why is this image in this textbook so disturbing? So disturbing to the people. Let's look to this woman who is an educator, right? Sociology 101 at ASU, right? This is in this book and it's deviance. So let's look up deviance and defiance. What is the definition of deviance? Okay, so well, that's the law, and you know how law words in law like the and the articles actually mean something more than what they would mean to the common person. So that's when when they ask you, do you understand the charges brought against you, you should automatically say,
I could hear you but not tiny.
No. You should automatically say, no. You don't understand, right? So tell us what the term deviance means by the dictionary definition. I think you're froze. Yeah, they froze you. What's going on with that? I don't know. They froze you as soon as we got to it. So let's try it again. Let's see. Go ahead. Try it. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Someone that deviates from the norm. So that's what they want to say. It's a deviant, but there are several types of deviants. So with that, trying to present the picture that black males are deviants of the law.
They've got you going in and out. We're gonna have to fix this. As soon as we get on talking about definitions, these definitions are important, and they're important. And as soon as we start getting on telling definitions, then all of a sudden they start kicking sound. And so let's try this again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I'm getting ready to put you. You're over, and so let's try this. Let's try this again.
All right, let's try it again. So basically, the definition of deviance is deviating from the social norms or whatever the norms of a particular environment or place or institution is. So any type of lawful thing, any type of bylaws or anything, a deviant exhibits behavior that differs from that, is opposite of that. So this picture here is trying to show that black males are deviants of the law.
It's showing that black males, the black males are deviant of the law, right? All right, so what is defiance?
Okay, hold on. Defiance.
Why this
All
is
right.
such a
So
disturbing.
Defiance is open resistance, bold disobedience. The demonstration used in a sentence, the demonstration was held in defiance of official warnings.
That's right. So you see, when you see this is very important to know the two definitions and what they are teaching in Sociology 101 at ASU. I think that's Alabama State University. That's the South, right? That can't be any other school but Alabama State, ASU. What they're teaching in their sociology class, right? Taking images, and the images, once the image is there, it sears in your mind with the word, and that's what it is. So, when Mike Brown died in Missouri, the reason why they brought out the tanks and practiced all their weapons is because they looked at the black bodies out there as deviants. The reason why, when all of this kicked off with the killing of George Floyd, and the majority of the people out there were Caucasians, they considered them defiant. Right?
Come on.
Or practicing defiance. And what is the definition of defiance? One more time for him. It's real short and compact, isn't it? What is it? One more time.
It is open resistance and bold disobedience.
Open resistance and bold disobedience. And that's why they are not handling them as strongly as they would have handled if it was an all black. They would have considered the group of people all black mob, and they were deviants, not people who are practicing defiance. And so this is very important. That goes into talking about critical race theory, which is critical race theory would say that if it's one group that's considered defiance, practicing defiance, then so is the American black group practicing defiance. But if they consider the American black group deviant, practicing deviance, then so should the other group, the others, be considered deviants also. Now this is where the rubber starts to hit the road. You have to know these definitions. You have to know why people are doing to people what they are doing. So it's very important, right? This is in the textbooks. These are in the college textbooks, right? Now,
you know what?
Go ahead.
Just real quick, I'm sitting here thinking about this, and we have a government that's a democracy, that is also a republic, that is against anarchy. Yet this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that there are some people in this democratic republic government that have an anarchist attitude when they hit the floor at the House, when they hit the floor in Congress, and they go to make decisions, they go to make laws, change bills into laws and things like that. They are doing it in the scope of their opinion or their scope of interpretation of who different laws are going to help or hinder, as opposed to being a strictly situation where the law is just fair, equal. They're inserting their personal opinions into it before they make their decisions. And I think that's where our problems are, part of it.
Great observation on that one. Okay, so look, just a little distraction. You know, the memes that come up, there are some distractions. Jackson State staff, Deion Sanders is now the new head coach at Jackson State. Terrell Owens is the wide receiver coach. Deion Sanders is bringing in the best, right? And then Warren Sapp is the D-line, the defense line, the defensive line coach. Just something to, you know, Jackson State, right? There they are. Just a little distraction there. There's always some distraction. Always some distraction, right? So let's look at this. Boy, they sure did mess us up on the sound just a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. It goes along with the territory when you're bringing information, right? Okay. Here's one that I definitely want to get you a comment on. These are the Morrow twins, and below are these other twins that were from Full House, right? The Olsen twins, right? The Olsen twins are 10 years younger than the Morrow twins. What is going on? And I've seen this meme a few times, but you know, it's a distraction because you're like, what is going on? So what's going on with this?
Well, something is very important, and some people may take me to task on this, but how one lives their life can contribute to that, and also how their parents live their life. I am looking at now T and the Maury twins. They are openly confessed Christians. You know, that's how they live their life. They live their life a certain way on a certain standard, and they had their parentage had them live a certain life a certain way. They're not overly religious or anything, but they are openly professed Christians. The ones below, I'm not sure about that, but what I can tell you by observation is somebody in the family, and I know, see, some of y'all might think I'm a little fanatical about witchcraft, but if you knew what I knew, it's everywhere. So I look at these two women and I said, now either them directly or their parents before them was involved in some witchcraft. That's what they look like. They look like, see, your deeds will tell on you, or the sins of the father revisits the son to the third and fourth generation and the daughters. So something that has happened in that family line has them looking like that, and they're not that old. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is really ridiculous. And so something is going on spiritually that caused them to look like that. Both of them, something is definitely wrong, and it's spiritual.
I'll say something's wrong. Okay, so here we go. Here's another piece. Now to get back off the distraction and back onto the table here. They already know, this is what the person said who put this meme up. They already know it's going to be a BS decision handed down. Louisville police declare state of emergency ahead of Breonna Taylor decision. The man is thinking that he's going to be up for the Supreme Court. And he doesn't want to rock the boat with any decision that would make it seem like he's partial to black people. He wants to seem like he's impartial. And so, on the one side, which is stick to the status quo. And this is what will be considered a black man. But we've been through all that. We don't need to be on that hamster wheel. That's a distraction. That's a distraction. We know this. Here's another one that is a distraction. Right? But I still don't understand the people who are talking about Africa, when Chinese new military bases in 5 African countries. Chinese new bases. China's new military bases. Chinese new military bases in 5 African countries. China plans new military bases in 5, not 4, but 5 African countries. China plans new military base in 5 African countries. Now, whoever has the military, it's their country. Whoever runs the military and it looks like them. Now, in these 5 African countries, now I know that the Africans usually have militaries. That's what they're good at, militaries. So what is this Chinese military being trained for in 5 African countries? Now we know that the atmosphere in China is not that great, and they have been expanding out, and they've been expanding through Africa. Now at first it was just the economic plan. Now it's turned into residency, and now it's turned into having a military police force in 5 countries in Africa. Now I don't know when are the people leaving that said they want to go back to Africa? When are you leaving? When are you leaving? Because something is going awry over there, and I don't know if you really want to be there, but if so, it looks like to me, whoever has the military in the country, it's their country. What you got to say?
You know, I was feverishly trying to look up which African countries in particular that they were going into, and it's quite hard. You know, I'm a master at looking up things on Google, so it was quite hard to ascertain which countries. I guess maybe I know Nigeria is one of them. I could have called that one. Angola, I saw that one after 5 articles, different articles, Angola and one of them. The other 3 I was not able to find before you called me up. But now, this is perplexing for so many reasons that they're going over there, because the first thing that strikes me is, why are you letting people come and invade your country? You know, because the article is skewed, like the title of the article indicates basically they running up in there and setting up bases without permission. They just going in there. They're not striking a deal. They're not holding. It didn't say that they're discussing bringing military bases there, meaning that they'd be speaking with the leaders of those countries to bring it there, and there would be a mutual agreement for them to bring bases there. It's saying China's new military bases in 5 African countries, as if to say there was no agreement made about it. They were just going to do it. I'm gathering probably because the countries they probably chose, that's why I wanted to know which ones they were probably some of the poorer ones that have a whole lot of different things going on. That's why you see a lot of scams coming out of certain parts of Africa, especially Nigeria, because it's a poor country. Wait. So they're always doing scams to try to get our money. Did you say something?
I say, are there any rich African countries? I mean, they're rich in minerals, and they're rich in raw stuff to make textiles, but are there any rich? Probably Ethiopia is one of the countries, possibly Ghana, but this is something where they seem like they're going to be playing war games, because it's a lot of Africans and it's a lot of Chinese, and the Chinese have been hankering for a battle or a war, and so why not first bring in, say it's a commerce deal, then people start to live there, and then wait a minute, you need a police force because You need to get some Indians from India to be the police force because some of the Africans are unruly. And then besides the police force, you need to have a military to defend your interest in not invading, but coexisting in a country, in a continent that is not yours. This is the worst case of colonization that we are witnessing, but the United States news is not covering it. The international Caucasian news, British, etc., is not covering it. Maybe Al Jazeera is covering it, but that's to be researched. But that the independent news producers within the YouTube, like ourselves, on the Film Review Live channel, make sure that you press that subscribe and press this like on this video. Share this because we're getting ready to come to the rubber hitting the road. But you know what this is, though, Tanya? You know what this is? This is a major distraction, and it does not amount to a hill of beans to what is happening to American black people, because America is a republic that is a democracy with a federal government, and they have resisted China. And as long as you're in the first world, I don't believe yet that we will have to worry about the second world. All right. So what do you say to that real quick?
I'm looking at it, and you're right. It's a big distraction. But how much do you want to bet? How much do you want to wager on the fact there's going to be some group that raises up out of here that wants to go over and assist Nigeria and Ethiopia and all of them in this particular situation? They are going over there. Remember, they're communists. The Chinese, they're communists. So they're going into a country. They're going to take over your goods, rich in minerals and diamonds and coal and different things like that. You're going over and you're going to take over any industry that they had. You're going to take it over. It's communist, so you don't own nothing. When they impose their communism, you're not going to own anything. So somebody from here is going to see what I just said, and they're going to become very enraged and impassioned about it. They're not being enraged and impassioned about our cause here, but they're going to be enraged and impassioned enough to put together a group, and we're going to sing "We Are the World," and we're going over there and we're going to help the Africans.
Yeah, we're gonna help the Africans. All right, people. So now it is time for the rubber to hit the road. What is the topic for the day? When did the Dixiecrat party become the party of counterculture? The failed counterculture movement was over 54 years ago, and its effect locked into drugs, violence, pedophilia, atheist-thought, while letting the freak flags fly. Let's discuss. The phones are open at 213-943-3358. So we have this presentation, and you know that yours truly, puts together some powerful presentations. So we're getting ready to play this right now, and of course we're going to break in and talk about it, right? Viewer discretion is advised. Let your people know that this is a discussion for adults only, but if you want your children to know it's an education, you are educating them at home during COVID. So this is a perfect opportunity to give them a lesson, but viewer discretion is advised. So let's go with it right now. Let me do this.
work at that business. I am at that business, sir.
Back that way from my people, man.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents.
For a minute. Now, what you just saw was that Kyle dude. This is new footage released, right? And we're going to go back and play it again because you may not have actually known what you were looking at, right? So we're going to go back and we're going to play it again. But first, the first thing that you see is he's telling a police officer, I believe that it is an American black police officer, that he's working down at that store. Now, if I remember correctly, Kenosha, he doesn't come from Kenosha. He drove in. But he's telling a police officer that he's working at the store with a semi-automatic weapon. He's 17 years old. The law says that you have to be at least 18 years old to have a semi-automatic weapon. So we have to let you know what you are seeing. Undergirded underneath is the words of Martin Luther King, right? So again, viewer discretion is advised. What's up to Ed Martin? I see he just came in. He's watching. Viewer discretion is advised. Let your people know that this is coming up. This is where the rubber is going to hit the road, where we're going to break this down and give definition. You might not have known what you were seeing, but this is the actual footage. Uncut, not stopped like the media. So that's why viewer discretion is advised. So let's go over it again. Here we go.
I work at that business. I am at that business, sir.
Back that way from my people, man.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm.
What makes this so disgusting when you have the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King going underneath? They're telling you what the United States government did for Caucasian immigrants. And all these, and we went and told you in a previous episode, I believe it's episode 11. You have to go back and check. We did the genealogy where this name, where his surname comes from, and where he comes from, how they came into the United States from Canada, obviously on an immigrant plan. Then in the 1800s, black people had already been here. And so they were giving them land, and you see how and as we spread the map out, we saw how they spread across the plain states and all the farming states, because they were giving these people land. And here he is out here acting a fool, killing up people. So when you hear Martin Luther King undergirded underneath, telling you what's happening, it makes this even more disgusting, because here they are with everything. Every opportunity, and all you can do is come in, and you thought you were going to come in and patrol to shoot, to pick a nick, right? But instead, you end up shooting your own. This is like a movie and stuff, but this is real life. And it's popping off, and you see he shot down one, he shot down two, then he wounded a third. What were they supposed to do? What would the police have done? Let me stop right here. What would the police have done? Because the police are coming there. You can see them in the background, and you can see people running in the foreground. And the next scene that you're going to see is he with Kyle with the semi-automatic weapon on his side, with his hands up, walking. What do you think the police would do to him? A person lets them know that he shot 3 people. What do you think would be the least thing that would happen to him once the police had heard that, and they see him with this weapon and he's got his hands up?
Are you asking if he were black? Because
no, I'm asking as a police force, what would be the least thing that you think that they would do to him? He has a gun on his side, and what is the least thing that you think that they would do?
I would think that they would shoot him in a place, because he's already firing off. He's already firing off, so his mindset is where it is. They need to shoot him to put him down. That's what they. And when I say down, I don't mean shoot to kill. I mean shoot to wound him so that he goes down. Whatever they do to us, they should have did to him.
Well, they never shoot the wound. They never do that. So let's go. Let's see what happens. So you'll see him. You'll see the person run out of scene, but then you'll see the person walk into scene, and that'll be Kyle, and he'll have his gun down, he'll have his hand up, right? Now watch what happens. Watch what happens. Watch what happens.
Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Authorities say Kyle Rittenhouse was one of a number of self-proclaimed militia members who traveled to Kenosha, where people have been protesting the shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man who was shot by a white police officer. Some so-called militia members had asked the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department to deputize them so they could help protect property, a request the sheriff and mayor denied, fearing violence.
Hey, he just shot them! Hey, dude right here just shot them! Dude right here just shot all of them down there! That dude just shot them right there! That dude right here! Yeah!
Wait a minute, why is he still walking? Why is he still walking and they all coming through there in those police trucks? What the hell?
All right, see. So, for all those people who think that what American black people are saying is just an illusion, that is a perfect example of what goes on. There was a voice, and it said, he just shot them dudes down there. He just shot them down there. Shot all of them down there is the correct quote. He just shot all of them down there. He's got his hands up. The cops come by, and the first truck drives by. The second one drives by, and on the CB, through the loudspeaker, it says, "Get off the street." So in other words, he's trying to protect Kyle. Get out the way. Get off the street. You can't make this up. It's right there. Now, people are using this to say that Kyle is self-defense. How can it be self-defense when he came from another place, underage, traveled in, tried to be assigned as a militia? The governor and the sheriff, state police said no. And you're out there, and the people come up on you because you've got a gun. You obviously were brandishing it and trying to be what's that law? What was that? Did we discuss the definition we discussed yesterday about being you don't have to actually do anything, but you can be intimidating, and thus that can get you prosecuted? He was intimidating, and they came up and they wanted to take the gun from him. He shot down one, he shot down two, and he wounded a third. What were the police supposed to do? The police saw it. Now they were down there, but they've got their night goggles. They got all this military. They got this military stuff. They got the night goggles. They got the scopes that can zoom in. They saw who was shooting. We can't be sure, but I'm sure that at the very beginning, what you're going to see, at the very beginning, when we play this next segment, the next piece of this presentation I put together, you're going to see that, which is not in here, I'm going to tell this, they gave him water and said, thanks for coming out, even though the governor and the state police said no. The police on duty said that. Then the black police officer, who was leery of it but had to follow directions, just told him, move away from my people, dude. Move away from my people. But once, we can't know for sure, but we could possibly say that if there was a American black with a long rifle, they were calling it a long rifle, but actually it's a semi-automatic AR-15, closest to the AK-47 that you can get, I think that the opening meeting would have been different. And I think so. Anyway, let's play this next piece right here. This is something. So you saw this. So you saw it, uncut right here on hashtag TFRPodcastLive Observations.
Rittenhouse is now in police custody, awaiting extradition to Wisconsin.
At some point last year, this article showed up in newspapers all over the world. The police had taken down this massive child pornography network. It was on the darknet, and it had nearly 90,000 members. Lots and lots of illegal material was shared, and lots of messages were sent through the network. Every day, every hour, every second.
90,000 users. 90,000 users. What is our title today? Anarchists, pedophiles, and freak flags. When did the Dixiecrat party become the party of counterculture? The failed counterculture movement was over 54 years ago, and its effects are felt still in modern culture. Reimagined uses of counterculture are used by the liberals and some conservatives to keep the now generations on the hamster wheel, locked into drugs, violence, pedophilia, atheist-thought, while letting the freak flags fly. 213-943-3358. Okay, so before we continue, we need to have some definitions. We need to have some definitions of what's going on here, right? We need to know what freak flag is. We need to know what counterculture is and how it's being applied today to the youth. And if you don't watch out, you will be a failed generation like the 60s generation, which was the baby boomer generation, which has left nothing in Social Security for Generation X. Real talk. Okay. Atheists, pedophiles, and freak flags. Freak flag, used in reference to the open, proud, or defiant. Hear that word again. We just gave that definition. Defiant exhibition of traits regarded as unconventional. The phrase, quote unquote, freak flag originated from song lyrics from If 6 Was 9, not if 5 was 9, but If 6 Was 9, 1967 by Jimi Hendrix, and was popularized by its use in Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young's counterculture anthem, Almost Cut My Hair. Right? Counterculture, a way of life and set of attitudes opposed to or at variance with the prevailing social norm. Counterculture movement largely was an anti-war movement, organized protest, grandizing signs of peace, love, and drugs, burning draft cards, right? The counterculture movement declined due to many falling victim to the very drugs they promoted, mental breakdown, giving way to violence and disillusionment. So burning the draft card then moved to burning buildings, right? Then it went from that to now it declined into disillusionment and violence, right? And what do we see what's going on now? Violence. We've talked about violence before. Let's bring this up. Bring this one up right here so we can go on. Okay. Let's do some more definitions because we need to know what's actually happening out there on the street, right? And you need to know something about what you're going to be in for. Adjudicate. Make a formal judgment or decision about a problem or disputed matter. Secondary. Act as a judge in a competition. Third. Pronounce or declare judicially. Adjudication is the legal process by which an arbiter or judge reviews evidence and argumentation, including legal reasoning set forth by, let me bring it up so I can read it, by opposing parties of litigants to come to a decision which determines rights and obligations between the parties involved, right? We have to know these words. We have to know, because we use these words, so we might as well know what they mean, and you're really going to need it. Now, here's where the rubber really hits the road, because this is what we are in the middle of right now, and so we have to give these definitions, right? All right. Atheist. Remember, our show is Atheists, Pedophiles, and Freak Flags. We've already given you the definition of freak flags. The woman on the videotape, you pretty much know what pedophilia is. Hold on to your kids. What is an atheist? An atheist is a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God or gods. Agnostic. Neither believes nor disbelieves in a God or religious doctrine. Agnostics assert it's impossible for human beings to know anything about how the universe was created and if divine beings exist. Deist is a person who believes in God but not in traditional religions. Oh, they have all this laid out. Any type of thinking that you think you got, you think it's original. Oh no, it's already defined. Agnostic, people who believe the definition of quote unquote God should be defined before taking a theological position. Theism, the belief that God or gods exist. So we're running through this real fast. You can feel free to stop, bring your notebook, come back on the replay in person. Okay, here we go. Here's what we're starting to see, and so we have to make sure that we put this out here. We're starting to see this amongst people, and we've seen it before, but here it is. Personal God is a deity who can be related to as a person instead of as an impersonal force, such as the absolute, the all, or the ground of being. And if you ever studied the ground of being, that is an interesting thought process from what you would consider, go research that for yourself. Personal God is a deity who can be related to as a person instead of as an impersonal force. The impersonal force such as the absolute, the all, or the ground of being. Omniism is the recognition and respect to all religions or lack thereof. Secondary, it can also be seen as a way to accept the existence of various religions without believing in all that they profess to teach, right? So what religions deal with men being God and thus not an entity that you don't necessarily see, right? Let's go even further here. Let's go deeper. Let's go back a little bit. Atan, right? Atan, the first deity proclaimed to be the one, quote unquote, true supreme being and creator of the universe. The earliest record of monotheistic religion found in Egypt. So the earliest form of monotheism is found in Egypt with Atan before people were practicing polytheism, right? Egyptian Atanism believes in Atan, proclaimed to be the one true supreme being and creator of the universe. Secondary, in the Hebrew Bible and the Judean Christian Bible, the names of God include Elohim, Adonai. Let me see. Because I got the phonetic here. Where is it? Adonai. Yes, that's right. Adonai and Yahweh and others. Right? Now, let's move this up so I can read it. Deification. Greek theosis is for orthodoxy, the goal of every Christian man, according to the Bible, is made in the image and likeness of God. So becoming a deity is the goal of every man, and then includes women, of course. It is possible for man, secondary, it is possible for man to become like God, to become deified, to become God by grace. Now, these are all teachings here in the various faiths, but we're dealing pretty much with Christianity here, right? Okay, so let's go this. Okay, so here we go. Apotheosis, Greek, to deify, also called deification, pull this closer, is the glorification of a subject to divine level, and most commonly the treatment of a human like a god. The term has meanings in theology where it refers to a belief, and in art there is reference to a genre. So when Kanye West was saying he's a god, he was referencing this particular definition, which has to do a lot with art, and that's where he was. He was at the Louvre and all that. In theology, apotheosy refers to the idea an individual has been raised to godlike stature. In art, the term refers to the treatment of any subject, a figure, group, locale, motif, convention of melody in a particular grand or exotic manner. Theology, the study of the nature of God and religious belief. Religious belief and theory when systematically developed. Okay? So we got to run through these because we are running through time. But you come back and you get this. You need to know this. This is very important. Okay, now, this is where I believe, and then I'm going to have my sister chime. I think this is what we are seeing happening in the streets with the atheists, the anarchists, the pedophilias, and the freak flags. We already gave you what freak flag means, right? So let's go through this. Satanism is a group of ideological and psychological beliefs based on Satan. Contemporary religious practice of Satanism began with the founding of the Church of Satan in 1966, although a few historic precedents exist. Luciferianism. Luciferianism is a belief system that venerates the essential characteristics that are affixed to Lucifer. The tradition influenced by, I got the Gnosticism. That's right. Gnosticism usually reveres Lucifer not as the devil, but as a destroyer, a guardian, liberator, light bringer, or guarding spirit to darkness, or even the true God as opposed to Jehovah. Say that word again for me. It's right there, the next line. Right. Ancient Greek having knowledge is a collection of religious ideas and systems which originated in the 1st century AD among early Christians and Jewish sects. These various groups emphasize personal spiritual knowledge, agnosis, over the orthodox teachings, traditions, and authorities of the church. All right? So when people are out there and they're letting their freak flag fly, they are in the middle of a renaissance of atheist, Satanism, and Luciferianism, in my opinion. this is what we're seeing out in the streets because it's confusion. People making organizations, then they move on from the organization, let the organization be co-opted, and it's all confusion out in the streets. And if you look at the images of Lucifer and check what they think, what people who practice Satanism is different than Luciferianism, but they're both practicing this thing. And in Luciferianism, they believe that they have an end like those who practice Christianity, and that it is not much different than what the Christians are teaching. And this is what we're seeing in the Dixiecrat party right now. It's an open party, atheists, pedophiles, and freak flags. What do you have to say?
You're absolutely right. It is an amalgamation of all of those things, and these people are stark raving mad. Whenever there is chaos and disorder, every abominable thing is going to take place. We can't even stretch our minds far enough to think how far and how deep, dark, and wide this thing goes. But if what we can see is any evidence of how deep it does go, this is people. We can't stress enough on this broadcast how it's imperative that you're going to have to pay attention and keep your heads out the sand. Those definitions that he gave was excellent just now. But I wanted to point out, see, what happens is when you have people who take all these different directions, but all these different directions have been here, else they wouldn't still be here. They've been here, and they were all derived from the point that people just want to do what they want to do, right? So now everything is out of control. We initially had laws and things like that we put in place, but now all of those are topsy-turvy as well because of the mindsets of the people who make bills law and those who shut down bills so they don't become law, because these different religious definitions, they're one or all of those, or one or several of those comprising different ways that they practice. So you have all of that working together. All of it is working. And we wonder why we have an absolute mess. Before the religion of Christianity got here, basically it wasn't given a name Gnosticism, but Gnosticism there was the knowledge of kingdom. And so for those people who are speaking kingdom in this time, you hear them saying, well, kingdom, that's in the Bible, but you hear very little of the kingdom taught by Christianity as a religion. However, kingdom is what Christ taught, right? I'm not going to go too far into that. I go into that on some of my broadcasts, but I said that to say that Gnosticism is closest to what the believers who followed Christ really were before Christianity came into play. So there are books missing out of our commonly known Bible that were all associated with having the knowledge of what was really going on, having supernatural knowledge. So I'm going to leave that there. But because we have all of these derivatives of different things going on, this is why we have a mess. And this all circles back to this. Us as American Black people, all the stuff we've been giving you is a bunch of confusion. We're giving you clear-cut facts, but when you tie it all together and you see that any given time you could turn on the news and you're going to hear one or other, you're going to hear distraction, you're going to hear lies, you're going to hear things that appeal to you as an individual based on how you're shaped, you're going to hear things that appeal to you that are not true because you didn't get the truth on things and you believe things that are not true. There are people who know truth and they hold truth as in a lie. They'll tell a lie while they knowing the truth because it takes away their benefit. So when you look at all the confusion, the potpourri of confusion that goes on, where do you think we're going to fall in the priorities? If we don't make ourselves a priority, where do you think we're going to fit in the midst of all of this other stuff that's coming at you every day? Where do you think we fall in? Where do you think we fare at? What do you think is going to happen? Us going to vote for somebody, we're staying on the same hamster's wheel. Where do we get off? Where do we get off? The wheel don't stop moving until you stop pedaling. Where do we get off? Where do we get off? And so there are those of us who, even if we're standing in a minority, we're going to stand because that's the thing to do. It is not to keep going along with the train. You are fueling the train. You are the engine to the train. You're putting the fuel in the train. You're doing everything on the train, and you're getting nothing back. People are getting on and off the train. You still going. Whoop, whoop. You still going. We're going up yonder. We're going up yonder. We're pushing our way. We're going up yonder. A hamster's wheel mean you ain't going nowhere, and the faster you go, the faster you get nowhere. And this is exactly what's going on. So I will never vote again until what I want to hear, not just what I want to hear, what I want to see, what I want to encounter, what I want to manifest is in present. You can count me out of the voting pool. You can cross me off the list. Don't listen. They try to make you sign up to vote on Facebook. They got these little cute little ads. Have you registered to vote? And then I see one for the state of Ohio. 1,900,000 some people have registered to vote. So what? I don't care. Keep it off my page. I don't care who's registered. Because I will stand here and it could be 25 million people, and I'm going to stand here and not do it. With my accurate, verifiable, reasonable reasons why I'm not doing it. While y'all, I don't know. I don't understand what's going on. And I have some people that I love very dearly, and they're not even seeing another side of the coin. They're so focused on Donald Trump. Focused on Donald Trump, and if I ask them why they don't like him, if I ask them, they don't have any reasons that are new and authentic. It's all what the media has said. I had one person say to me, well, I hope, you don't have no family member or nothing that is getting SSI or whatever, or Social Security, or is a veteran. Well, as a matter of fact, I did. And I still felt the same way. I mean, you hope, okay, so that means you're getting some kind of benefit. So, all right, so, oh, Lord, let me get on this. It just came up. So, you're getting some type of benefit from the government that you don't want to lose, and you think you're going to lose it if we keep Trump in office, right? But you're going to vote for a government that they're willing to give you an SSI check. They're willing to give you disability, but they're not willing to give you reparations. So they're willing to pacify you. They're willing to give you a butt plug, but they're not willing to give you your reparations. And you're okay with that. And you're coming on my page and asking me, I hope you don't have nobody that's getting SSI. Is the SSI a mental check? Because it seems like that's what it is. I got to take a breath.
Look. Look, people. people out there letting their freak flags fly. We just showed you where that came from. See, the 1960s was dope. We could see it. You know, they had the so-called free love. People was running around naked. You know what I'm saying? All that was cool. And of course, people didn't get a chance to experience that, right? And so they go through it. But that was a failed movement. It was a failed movement while people are letting their freak fly. So let's continue with this real quick.
People from all over the world were logging into this network anonymously, which makes it extremely difficult for the police to track them down. Now, some of these people only had the aim of collecting child abuse material online. Others also had the aim of abusing children themselves. Regardless, they all found this deep satisfaction in discussing their deepest fantasies and experiences with regards to child abuse online.
It's about alternate consciousness and music writing and whether the drugs actually inspire or...
Oh, yeah, there. Okay. Here, hold this microphone just for 1 second. I won't ask you to do this again, I promise. Here's how it went.
This is Crosby from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young. All right? Now, we just told you that they had the freak fly in their song after Jimi Hendrix had it in his song. Now, Jimi Hendrix died of a heroin overdose. Have you ever seen the videos? Go to YouTube and look up heroin overdose victims, and you will see that they vomit, and the vomit is so much, you'll see them dead. I mean, they showed us this. We were in 2nd grade, and they showed us this in the cafeteria when it was wintertime and it was too cold to go outside. They showed us this film about heroin addicts dying and how they die after we finished eating. And you see the person and their mouth is wide open with vomit, and it's dried up vomit, and their neck is swole. And Jimi Hendrix died like that. Freak flag flying. Crosby, Stills, and Nash picks it up. Crosby was so bad with drugs that his band members did not want to F with him anymore until he got his stuff together. And you should watch their documentary about it, right? Since we're repeating and we're on this hamster wheel, then we got to get a freak flag flying. And you know it's older people feeding that to the young ones, because the young ones wouldn't know nothing about no freak flag until it was put back into the zeitgeist again, right? Till it's put back. So listen to what Crosby from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young has to say about drug use and making music and where it took him. Listen. All you have to do is listen. You can listen to those who made the mistakes so you don't have to make them again. And the reason why I use Caucasians is sometimes some of us American blacks do not believe until we hear it from a Caucasian. So we decided to do this for you. Yes, because I could have brought up plenty of examples, but I need to show you the Caucasians, because the Caucasians were deprived. They called them defiance or practicing defiance when actually they are deviant, practicing deviance. Here we go.
As the drug use line went up, the music writing went down. And there were corresponding curves. Drugs do not, let me emphasize that, help you write anything. They do not help you create. They get in the way. They lower your consciousness. They make you unable to really complete your work. All of us who are serious about trying to, do our art do not do it. No serious songwriter I know does. None of them. And in my case, it got so bad that I didn't write anything for 2 years. And I think that's really in my heart, I think that's a large part of why I knew that I had to give up. I had to surrender, and I did. I went to an FBI office. By that time, I was a fugitive, and I went in. I walked in and said, "You guys want me?" They said, "We do."
So I came out as transgender, and I lost all of my jobs. I had never had a bad review, and I lost every single job. In 21 states, you can't be fired for being transgender. But in all 50, you can be fired if you're transgender and you work for a religious corporation. Good to know. It's not easy being a transgender woman. People sometimes ask, "Do you feel 100% like a woman?" And I say, well, if you've talked to one transgender person, you've talked to exactly one transgender person. I can't speak for anybody else. I feel 100% like a transgender woman. There are things a cisgender woman knows I will never know. That said, I am learning a lot about what it means to be a female, and I'm learning a lot about my former gender. I have the unique experience of having lived life from both sides. And I'm here to tell you, the differences are massive. So I'll start with the small stuff, like the pockets on women's jeans. What? Can't put a phone in there.
What? Okay. You know, that what, you know, that's just like, what?
That was
right.
confusion right there.
What?
That was confusion.
Right, so look, people. Laughter can often be used to steer or orient a certain way. Like we don't deal in bringing laughter, we bring facts. And then some situations within what we're talking about may be comical, but it's dead serious around here. Using laughter is a way to disarm people and get people to go your way. All right, we got 6 minutes. Close out.
Thank you guys for being with us today. We trust that the information that we gave you is something that you can put in your arsenal to help move you along through this life, not just this particular situation, but this situation right here is pertinent to life. And our peace and our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness have been severely impeded upon because we don't have what it is that's due us and are being charged with being lazy. So we're not going for that. We're steering somewhere else. We're going somewhere else. We're somewhere else, and we're trying to get you to be cognizant of what's before you so that you can make better decisions concerning your future. And I love you guys, and thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow right here.
All right, people. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the share button. A lot of information put out there. Make sure that you get your notebooks, pause it, write down the information. Of course, you're watching #TFRPodcastLive OB. That's the Film Review Podcast Live Observations by Crazy D with my special guest host, my sister, Tanya M. Congress. Make sure that you go and follow all of the Facebook pages. Make sure you go over to the Film Review Live channel, smash the subscribe, and smash the bell so that you'll know when we come on, and press like. Watch those videos and press like on what you see. Press like here on Facebook. We bring you this information because you need to be armed, because we're headed into uncharted waters. You have one party that is exposing itself for what it was when it was the predominantly party that pushed for us to still be in bondage. We have a party that is starting to expose itself to what it was and what it truly is still, the party that had us in bondage. And it is using the same tactics that it was using then. Anarchists or anarchy is nothing but terrorism. What was done to American black people but terrorists, domestic terrorism to a group of people who helped build this country to its richness? The definitions are there. We're putting the definitions to you. All you have to do is go back and watch episodes 11 through now 21. Go back for context, 10 back to 1, because those are the building blocks to what we're doing now. And tomorrow we're on episode 22 with more information, with more context. Look at how they treated Kyle. Look at how they treated Kyle. A person will be going for their phone, an American black man, and they will automatically think it was a gun. We showed you about the little kid, the baby, 18 years old. He was tossing the gun and the cop shot. Here's Kyle with the long gun, which is a semi-automatic AR-15.
Looking like he's about 13.
They offered him water, and then when the people were telling him he had shot, they drove past him and said, "Get off the street," like they were protecting him from whoever was doing the shooting, who they thought were deviants. And they look at him as someone who is practicing defiance. We gave you the definition. Definition of words are very important, and how you change what the reality is understanding the words and making the words have different meanings. They can have the same definition, but different meanings, meaning when you apply them to yourself, thus making others have to apply the positive word to you. You have been watching hashtag TFR Podcast Live presents Observations. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. Listen to the replays on Apple Podcasts. Just go to Google or go to the search at Apple Podcasts and search hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. Click it and it comes right up. We will see you tomorrow with another jam-packed episode. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe community, heart.